Hello and welcome. Today, we have a couple of interesting stories, including one about an entitled brother-in-law who tried to sue his sister-in-law for her parents' house and now feels entitled to move in. Sit back, get a drink and enjoy. First story. Am I the idiot for canceling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? I, F35, am infertile. My ex-husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it just never happened. He divorced me, went and married someone younger who was able to give him a kid, and from what I gather, they're expecting a second child together. It hurts like hell seeing someone else have what I couldn't. I get frustrated with myself sometimes and with my family blaming me for basically everything. I turn to my friends for support, especially Alessia. She's in the same infertility boat as me, but she and her husband are currently trying IVF, hoping it'd work. Alessia asked me for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check for $12,000. I really wanted to help her and the money came with no strings attached. I wrote the check and gave it to her last week. She was very appreciative of it. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend, Carol, with a screenshot of the conversation she had with Alessia. Turns out she and Alessia were talking about the next IVF cycle, and Alessia said she hoped the cycle would work because she didn't want to end up divorced and having her husband go marry someone younger and have a baby with them and another one on the way. While she's alone and without a family at 35. She's 32. I was stunned and hurt. I knew she meant me here. But I did not confront her. I simply contacted my bank and canceled the check. In the evening, Alessia called to ask why I canceled the check and I told her. She went crazy saying she didn't mean it that way and that she thought that this was somewhat an inside joke between desperate infertile women. She came over with her husband the next day begging me to write another check, but I refused. An argument ensued and her husband thought I wasn't being supportive of her like when she supported me throughout my struggles. She left crying and we haven't talked since then. Her husband keeps reminding me, while repeatedly calling Carol a toxic snake, of the date of the next cycle, saying they can't have it after I took the money that was supposed to pay for it back. Some friends think I'm being oversensitive. Carol's on my side telling me to tell them to go to hell, but I feel so bad about it. What I've done might just damage our 15 years of friendship. Maybe I shouldn't have canceled it, but I just felt so offended by what she said about me and how she basically mocked my unfortunate circumstances. So Reddit, am I the idiot? The top answers. Not the idiot. It was a cruel thing for her to do. Especially after you were being so gracious towards them. By the way, just a reminder, your worth is not connected to your ability to bear children. Also, 15 why of friendship, but only now is she showing her real face and how she devalues original poster for not having a child and for her husband having left her. In the words of Maya Angelou, when people show you who they are, believe them. May God bless Carol. She saved original poster. Years do not mean anything when friends act like this friend and her husband. Trying to guilt trip original poster. And when they don't even have the money to potentially support a child too. It always struck me as nonsensical that people would beg, borrow and plead for tens of thousands of dollars to make a baby and now be too broke to feed it. IVF seems addictive and maybe needs more regulation or counseling to go with it. If you can go through 4 rounds of IVF and spend $40,000, you definitely had the money and time to adopt. There are children out there already who aren't disabled or traumatized like people say they all are. Besides, that miracle baby might come out disabled too. You never know. Third story. Am I the idiot for reporting my son's math teacher to the school board for ineptitude and being so rude to me? I would like him fired from his provisional contract. Everyone is the idiot. This has turned into another social media feeding frenzy. I asked in your space and I accept my judgment, but I don't think anyone really read what I wrote. The second edit. I guess this got cross-posted and I can't comment there. To address a rude comment, his professor isn't even working full-time and he isn't even in the state, much less our city. He will be on the videos and Zoom from the beach or mountains. That's not professional at all, and what type of example is that for kids? My son is an 8th grader in an online school. This is key. He's always been a straight A student until this year when this group of teachers started some different accountability methods, and now he's so uninspired his grades are around 20% in all 4 of his classes. Math was always my son's favorite subject and he finished 7th grade math with a 107%. Since he's online, I can hear his current math teacher say a million times a class, write everything down. My son doesn't learn like that. He's been online since he was an infant and writing is not important to him. I've emailed the teacher over and over again and he says that he's very sorry but he doesn't know how to teach math without writing. I told him that somehow his past teacher have done it. We've met with the SST, student support team, multiple times and I've explained that in the past my son's math teachers would let him do tests and formatives over and over again until he got answers right, and that's how he learns. In the SST meeting yesterday, the math teacher said that Jaden knows that he does not allow redos but he will always give partial credit if a student shows him their written work. I said Jaden doesn't like to do written work. The math teacher said that maybe this program is not for him and he needs to go back in person. I then asked how partial credit was supposed to get him to the A+ student he was last year. The teacher actually snickered and said that a huge component of 7th grade math was averaging and Jaden could explain it to me. That was it. I fired off emails to all of the school board members and superintendent and posted them on our district's community Facebook page. And everyone turned on me. To say I was called an idiot would be friendly. To follow the rules, this is where the interpersonal conflict comes in, and people are actually accusing me of being a bad mother because I'm not holding Jaden accountable. I'm in shock. The message notifications keep coming in and I'm getting publicly roasted in my community for wasting the school board's time and making everyone at the school work harder than they should, etc. It's like a feeding frenzy. Am I the idiot here? Top answers. You are the idiot. Why do you think any teacher needs to cater to your son? What is so special about him that the world should revolve around him? Writing down the work for math is standard. Just because he doesn't like to do it this way doesn't mean he shouldn't have to. You are raising him to be an entitled brat and one that won't be able to function in the real world and trying to get a teacher fired because they won't bend for you? You should be ashamed of yourself. Second reply. You are the idiot. Wow. So your kid refuses to show their work for math and you're blaming the teacher. Stop making excuses for your child and have them do their work correctly. Also, let's point out, this is an online school. If they don't write stuff down and show their work, how will anyone know they're actually doing the work? You're being ridiculous. He doesn't need to write anything down, because he's been Googling the answers. The kid has no idea how to do the work. Dropped from A's to 20% once he was asked to show his work. Third reply. Are you asking because you are genuinely wanting to get feedback, or are you hoping to hear yourself in an echo chamber? First, you are not helping your child, you are hindering him. He is not learning how to become a functional member of society. Life is not going to cater to him and let him have unlimited amounts of do-overs. College is not going to let him have an unlimited number of do-overs.
And if he even gets in the door for fighter pilot school, do you think the administration would be willing to risk an expensive piece of equipment on someone who can't be bothered to learn how to do something the first time around?
You can't go back for a redo if you're dead. Suck it up. Realize you are the idiot. Hold the kid responsible for his actions. And maybe, you will be able to raise a child who will not live in your basement until you die. Second story. Am I the idiot for not allowing my 15-year-old daughter to go to Pakistan and hiding her passport? My ex and I have a daughter together, Alina, F15. My ex is my ex for various reasons. I have full custody and he sees her for 1 weekend a month. Alina started exploring her roots, which I encouraged. Her father offered to take her to Pakistan to meet his extended family who lives in a very small village. I said absolutely not and tried to explain to Alina why, and I said that if something was to happen, I might not be able to help her. I suggested that she goes when she's a bit older. She's really not happy about this and my ex is pushing. Alina thinks I am prejudiced and her dad keeps calling me, pushing me to agree. My son-in-law called me and told me I'm a manipulative idiot for keeping my daughter from her roots. She was fuming because they had tickets booked for that day and Alina couldn't find her passport because I hid it. I knew nothing about their tickets, but I did hide the passport in a safe place outside of the house because I was worried. I thought I was right, but now I don't know anymore. I am starting to question myself. Am I the idiot for not allowing my daughter to go and hiding her passport? The top replies, I'm Indian and not the idiot. Cop, do not allow this to happen. In Pakistan, or most of the Indian subcontinent, your ex and daughter could disappear, never to be found again. It's really easy. As her father, he could get her married without your consent. Your custody arrangement will not be considered valid. He would count as her legal guardian because of biology. His pushing absolutely raises red flags. He has some kind of an agenda here. This stuff is very real, do not take it lightly. And don't care about being the idiot, just keep your kids safe. Original poster needs to get a temporary restraining order, and if it's not already part of the custody agreement, get a restriction on travel outside the country by the non-custodial parent. They bought your daughter a plane ticket without telling you they had done so? Not the idiot, and would contact your lawyer about this and find out what steps you can take to further protect your daughter. Because it wouldn't surprise me if your ex-husband tried to get another copy of her passport without you finding out. Third reply. The fact that even though they did not have your permission and you have full custody, they had tickets and they were supposed to leave that day but couldn't because she couldn't find her passport is exactly the reason why you're correct. That's horrifying. Absolutely not the idiot. This is every parent's worst nightmare. Original poster. If I were you, I'd document the shit out of this, inform the court, and get a lawyer. Protect yourself and your daughter, even if she doesn't understand right now. American minors cannot travel out of the country without the permission of both parents for very good reasons. Some children disappear into the countries of their non-custodial parents every year, and not every country will repatriate the minor based on U.S. custody rulings. And no, it's not just the Middle East. Japan does this too. That passport doesn't return to any place. Your daughter could get it until she's 18. I'd also reach out to the State Department to see if there's a way to flag her passport so that if she does manage to get her hands on it, it will be flagged as soon as she tries to use it. A lawyer should be able to help with this. Third story. Am I the idiot for only taking my nieces in and not their dad after my sister passed away? My female 33 sister, female 36, passed away a month ago because of cancer. It's devastating and words can't express how we feel. Her husband struggled to pay off debts and has asked me and my husband to take him and my nieces, ages 13 and 16, in for some time. I have to say that I'm not on good terms with him. We've had more than our fair share of disagreements in the past. He tried to sue me and my husband for my own mother's house, which I'm living in with my husband and daughter. But he claimed he needed money to pay for my sister's treatment, and this was the only way to get it after my brother and I, refused to help. It's a long story, but we're not on good terms. I agreed to only take my nieces in but not him. He tried to negotiate this, saying his daughters are grieving and needed him, their remaining parent, to be around. I said he could see them during visits and that was it. My husband agreed with me at first and my brother-in-law showed up with my nieces days ago and I only let the girls in but turned him away after he tried to talk me into letting him stay. We had a huge argument and the girls went inside crying after their dad left, repeatedly saying they want him. My husband is backing out of this, saying we might be making a mistake separating the girls from their dad when they're grieving. My aunt berated me, saying I messed up entirely here. I argued that it's my home and I don't feel comfortable with him staying after what he's done. She called me selfish and bitter and said I'm making it more difficult for the girls who just lost their mom. Now the girls are quiet, but my 16-year-old niece keeps arguing about wanting her dad with them. My husband still thinks we're making a mistake and getting the girls to resent me for what I did to their dad who's grieving. The top answers. Not the idiot. While it stinks that you can't be 100% supportive of the girls, it's his fault. You have to protect yourself. He's sued once. If he starts living there and establishes residency, he could try to squat. If other families are upset, they can take them in. Second reply. It's original poster's choice to help or not. I do not see the reason why she should let someone hostile to her live in the same house. I think it's already a lot that she offered to take in the girls while she did not have to. Yeah, it's her sister's kids, but honestly not everybody would do that in the same situation. If he wants to stay with the kids, he needs to find another arrangement. He is the parent, not original poster. Not the idiot. Third reply. I see a lot of, "You are the idiot" posts, but I'll risk the down votes to say, this guy sued you. Was there any merit to it? Sounds like it was found in your favor. I wouldn't want him in my house either. The problem is, once he moves in, he's a tenant and you can't force him out. Then you're even more of a perceived jerk for making them homeless if it becomes intolerable. He did not abide by your terms but showed up on your doorstep with no plan except to beg you even though you told him what you could agree to. He said okay but then tried to make it suit him. All these relatives could take him in or support him, right? Why is it all on you? Your brother-in-law is presumably in his mid to late 30s and only sought help from you. It's all on one estranged son-in-law? This is an impossible situation and frankly, nothing you would have done would have been enough. How can you ask him for money for the higher foods/utilities/gas expenses? He's grieving and broke. How can you not give him your car to get around? He's grieving and broke. How can you ask him about getting a job and getting back on his feet? He's grieving and broke. If your relatives wanted to help, they could send him money and help him get on his feet, rather than come after you to take on a family. I can't judge this, because in some ways you are an idiot, and in some ways, you were being completely rational not wanting an enemy in your house for a long, indeterminate amount of time and at your expense, but you were willing to help out the children and did not abandon them. You were willing to help up to your boundary, and your husband agreed. The flying monkeys just don't want the burden back on them, so they will come after you hard, as pressuring you is the easier solution than writing him a check or taking him in.